So last time I taught you how to set up for the deadlift, but let's take a step back and look at some of the aspects of the deadlift starting position. As my mother would always say, to bake the perfect ziti, you first have to preheat the oven. Let's bake the perfect deadlift. Ah, come look at this perfect deadlift setup position. When I'm cooking up a deadlift, the first thing I look for is the bar over the middle of your foot. It's the balance point for most lifts since it's the only point of contact with the ground. Once we have this, we need to look at their shoulder blades. We want their shoulder blades directly over the bar, so we could draw a straight line down from their shoulder blades to the bar to the middle of their foot. If your shoulder blades don't start over the bar, Mamma Mia! This is what happens. That can waste a lot of energy and soften their back position. Finally, let's look at their back and neck. Your spine is made up of 5 different sections. During the deadlift setup, we focus a lot of our attention to a person's thoracic spine. Everyone's spine and body is different, so how their back is going to look during the deadlift starting position is also going to be different. Your thoracic spine has a natural kyphosis, which means that it's flexed forward, creating a rounded posterior or back section. So, most people will be able to create a flat back when they get set, but some people still have slight rounding. Does that mean something's wrong? No! It just might mean they have a larger kyphosis or something else sticking them in this position. We want to see that the lifter is actively locking their back into place. It might not be flat, but once they start the pull, the back doesn't move out of that position. Your neck position should be relatively equal to your back position. We aren't looking straight down or straight up, somewhere around 10 to 15 feet in front of you. From the front view, we want to see your forearms right outside of your shins and relatively vertical, like 2 baguettes. This will help you shorten the range of motion of the pull and not do extra work that is not necessary. Just like too much oregano in your favorite pasta, where your hips are at can easily ruin your perfect deadlift setup position. How high or how low your hips are affects the position of the rest of your body, especially your shoulder blades. We talked about the importance of your shoulder blades being directly over the bar, and the biggest thing that affects this is your hip position. If you drop your hips, your shoulder blades will shift backwards. If your hips move up, it shifts your shoulder blades forward. So, if your shoulder blades are behind the bar, an easy fix is just to bring your hips up to a position that puts them directly over the bar. Your hip position can also affect your shins and where the bar is at compared to your midfoot. In an al dente starting position, we want the bar directly over the middle of your foot and your shins to come forward and lightly touch it. So, if you drop your hips, your shins get pushed forward, which causes the bar to roll in front of the middle of your foot. If your hips move up, your shins move back, and if you move the bar with it, it's behind the middle of your foot, and you just turn it into a stiff-legged deadlift. Let me show you an amazing tip to make... What? What the hell are you doing in my gym, pastry boy? I'll show you guys a real tip to perfect your deadlift setup and make sure you're hitting the same spot every time. Let's take a look at the deadlift starting position. Bars over the middle of their foot, shoulder blades over the bar, their backs tight, and all the slacks out of their arms. A quick test to make sure you're in the right position is to look at the front of your kneecap versus the front of your forearm. If your hips and everything else are in the correct position, the front of your knees will be flush with the front of your forearms. So if your hips are too low, your knees will shoot too far forward in front of your forearm. If your hips are too high, your knees will be behind the front of your forearm. We know everyone has different body types, so it's going to look different on every person. So find your correct setup, then look at where your knee lands compared to your forearm, then shoot to find that same position every time.